Hi guys, this is Tacey Kistler and I am a Gold Ambassador with Plexus, and I'm working with Teamwork Collaborations, which is just a group of a few of us ambassadors who have gotten together to provide this training to you on a pretty regular basis. So I'm excited to be here. It has been just a little bit since I've done one of these with the group, and so I'm excited to do this tonight. I am going to be talking on managing or handling objections. Now, first and foremost, we need to face the idea or the fact that handling objections is something we're all going to have to do. And that is because every single one of us knows that there are going to be objections when we are working this business. It is just the nature of the business, and it's just the way it goes. Not everybody is going to fall in love with Plexus like we did, and we have to go into it with that mindset. We also need to keep the mindset in our heads that we are going for no. There is a book out there called Go for No. If you haven't read it, I strongly encourage you to do so. But every no that you get gets you closer to your next yes. And that's important to remember that. And maybe, and I think it's from that book that I've read, or perhaps other calls I've been on, maybe something you want to consider doing yourself is actually setting goals for yourself for how many no's you receive. Don't set necessarily just goals for new customers, new ambassadors, certain level of PD, but say, decide, when you're about to do a power hour, decide that out of this power hour, I expect to get, 10 no's, which means you are probably going to have to prospect or reach out to a good 20, 30, 40 people in order to do that. So keep that in mind, that every no gets us closer to our yeses, and that it's important that we work through that process on a regular basis in order to become stronger in our ability to communicate with people, as well as in our ability to properly promote and share the products, and just in our ability to help people. No's are just going to be part of the process. So please try to remember that, okay? I am going to start tonight with, first of all, focusing on the objections that all of us have heard, because they tend to be the most popular objections that we run into as ambassadors with Plexus, and that is dealing with the price, the shall we call it the success rate, and the safety related to the products. So I'm going to start with those because, like I said, those do tend to be the most common. And as typical, some of you who have been doing this for a little while, this is going to be information you've heard before, but reiteration is good and repetition is good. So it is always good for us to remind ourselves of these, and I do hope that I'm going to throw a few little tidbits in here and there that will also be helpful to you. So let's start with probably the one that is most common for all of us, and that is the argument that Plexus is too expensive, or why does it cost so much, or this doesn't fit in my budget right now. Any of those responses that are related to the cost of Plexus. Oh my goodness, we hear this a lot, don't we? My own father dished this out on me just a couple of weeks ago, reminding me that he is on a retired income and that the price of that pink drink is just too much for a retired person on a monthly basis. So yeah, we get this a lot. And we have probably all been there. And that is the one thing that we need to try to communicate to them as well. And one of the things, I forgot to mention this before I got started, one of the things I want you to keep in mind through this entire call, and anytime you're handling objections, is to go through what they have identified to us before as the feel, felt, found method. Feel, felt, found. And I will give examples of that as I go through these different types of objections. But you're basically going to empathize with the way the person feels in the objection that they're giving you. You're going to tell them some idea of how you or someone you know felt the same way, and then reiterate that through the use of Plexus products, we have found that. Okay, so feel, felt, found. So back on that first topic we were talking about is too expensive. This one, you want to begin to get them to think about what, one of the things they tell us to say is, what are their vices? Now, don't use that word necessarily with them, you know, because you don't want to be snarky and say, well, what are you spending money on now? You know, but you want to say things like, well, consider what you are currently spending your budgetary dollars on. Are you investing in caffeinated drinks, energy drinks, Starbucks? Are you having to get yourself some afternoon snacks, perhaps unhealthy ones to not get, you know, to get you through the day? Are you on a lot of prescription medications, any prescription medications? But then the other thing you really want to focus on is, are you on, or do you take any kind of regular over-the-counter medications? And I say you might want to focus on that because there are people that the argument for their prescription medications is going to be that their insurance or their copay or insurance cards or plans or whatever cover the cost of that prescription medication. So you might also ask them about any over-the-counter medications they're taking as well. But you want to say, you know, where is some of that money going right now? Do you feel like you're spending some of it on medications, over-the-counter prescription or otherwise, on these caffeinated beverages? Do you have a gym membership? And if you do, great. Obviously, health is important to you, and I hope you're using that gym membership on a regular basis. I know I didn't. You know, you want to kind of, again, relate to them. But this is my most common. I'm going to give you my feel, felt, found response when it comes to the expense of Plexus. I will often say, and again, this could come verbal or in written. Obviously, if it's written, it'll be much more concise. But I will say, I understand exactly how you feel. That was my exact concern when I first looked into Plexus myself. I agree that it did, at, you know, in the forefront and at first look, appear to be too expensive to even fit in my budget. But I also felt that it was important that I needed to focus on my health. And I also had a really strong feeling and felt like it was more doctor's appointments and more medications is not the direction I wanted to go for my health. I just had this epiphany that I needed to do something different and more natural and healthier for myself. And since being on the Plexus products, I have found that, in fact, I can be healthier even without some of the medications that I was previously on, including lots of over-the-counter medications that I used to take on almost a daily basis for various chronic ongoing issues that I no longer take. I am down to taking medications just about one time a month, and that's it. And so our family saves on that, as well as being 3 years, almost 3 full years, almost completely off antibiotics and almost completely off sick visits to the doctor, maybe 1 or 2 between all of us in just the last couple of years. So we are definitely saving money in that area as well. Okay, again, like I said, if I'm typing this out, it's going to be much shorter, but just saying, I understand how you feel. I felt the same way. But I also felt it important to take a healthy step, a more natural direction with my health. And I have since found that these things, you know, can be accomplished without more medication and through the use of Plexus products. Okay, so again, just relate to them and get them to start thinking about where they might be spending those dollars. All right. Okay, how am I doing on time? Rambled a lot there. So I've got several other to cover. The next, based on the science of it, is Plexus FDA approved, and is it safe? This, again, one of my favorites, because anybody who knows me very well knows that the FDA is not one of my most favorite organizations. I don't agree with a lot of what they do, but I also do agree that they serve some really good purposes in our world. So I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Again, don't necessarily communicate that to the person I'm chatting with unless they're a really close friend. If they're a really close friend, I mean, I will legitimately say, have you listened to a medication prescription medication commercial on the TV lately? Have you heard the list of side effects? Possible side effects may include blah, 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 and death. Okay, I will say that to a close friend. However, if I'm trying to maintain a professional response, one thing I will definitely share with everyone, and I want you to become comfortable sharing with as well, is that the FDA does not approve or disapprove any supplements. And I love dropping in the side note of, did you know that they also don't approve baby formula? That is shocking to most people. It really is. I can't figure out where I need to look. Do I need to look up here? Anyway, I don't know where my eyeballs are during this recording. But they don't approve baby formula. They don't approve or disapprove. Okay, so I'd like to kind of toss that in there because that, like I said, will shock people. What the FDA does do, however, and what's really important for us to remember, is that the FDA does regulate ingredients and the business processes and the what's the word I'm looking for? Compliance of companies that operate and manufacture these things. So they do regulate the ingredients in supplements, and they do regulate the ingredients in Plexus supplements. So I also like to reiterate that Plexus works very closely with government agencies to make sure that we stay in compliance with them. They want to be the most reputable on the market for offering the highest quality possible, and therefore they work closely with them to make sure that we're following all regulations and guidelines. And I also like to point out that we do have, products that are based on clinical studies, especially our new products. What is it? Over 200 clinical studies based on the microbiome and benefits related to the health of that. So we are a company that is focused on providing high quality stuff, and that is not going to be able to be said about the other supplements that are on the shelf at Target, Walmart, GNC, and everything else. We are definitely out for quality, and we will back that up with our money back guarantee, which of course is something you also, I'm scattered tonight, you also want to mention in that Plexus is too expensive conversation. Make sure they remember that they can go to their doctor, they can get prescription medications, they can have a gym membership, they can do all kinds of things related to their health that probably do not come with money back guarantees. So try to reiterate that as well. Sorry, I'm a little scattered. So FDA does not approve or disapprove any supplements, okay? Obviously, want to be sure and encourage people to have things checked by their doctor if they have any health concerns, and be sure and drop that in your correspondence with them as well. Okay, now moving on to, let's see, the will it work for me? Is it successful? Is all this stuff you're saying about it true? This is a fun one too, because you want to make sure that people understand why we're excited about the process or the products, but we also don't want to come off as crazy people who are spouting all this stuff all the time about it, curing the world. So we need to have a response available to people that lets them know that we're with them for the long haul on this, and let them know again that money back guarantee is available to them should anything go awry or it not go, they reach the goals that they're hoping for. So will it work for me? Go ahead and be bold enough to share your own success stories. If you don't have your own success stories, then be sure and share those of others that you know. I am the poster child for Plexus testimony that is not big and grandiose and fireworks in the background. I don't have big before and after photo results. I don't have did not have a chronic or ongoing health issue that was plaguing me other than, well, I guess depression and some lack of sleep could be lumped in there. But again, not anything that is just earth-shattering. So I do sometimes rely on the stories and testimonies of those that I know to be able to say, my friend has overcome this autoimmune issue, or has, if not overcome, has learned how to manage it on a daily basis that allows her to operate as a regular human being on a daily basis and not constantly be concerned about her health. My friend is managing her diabetes to the level of reducing medication and feeling better on a daily basis, things like that. And just reiterate to them that you were going to be there with them in this process. We know that fortune is in the follow-up. We know that we need to stay in touch with our customers and that is critical. And you can tell them that I'm here for you. You're not going to be in this by yourself. I'm going to be there available to you for any questions, any problems, concerns, anything you have. And that money back guarantee is going to be there for you always. I believe in these products because of what they've done for me, what they've done for my family, what they've done for my friends. I understand that you feel that, that I understand that you're concerned. I definitely felt the same way, but have found through my research and my experience with Plexus that this is the real deal. And they are focused on the right stuff in the products. They're not just trying to make a quick buck. They're also not just trying to help people drop pounds. It's all about total body health. Okay, feel, felt, found. Next, okay, let's talk about when you get the no. Or maybe, and I'll touch on like when you get a not now, but obviously, like I said, we're gonna get the no's. And if you are reaching out to somebody, it's kind of, maybe it's a little bit of a cold prospect. Maybe it's someone that you haven't spent a lot of time working with and they just come back to you with, no, not interested. No, thanks, I'm fine. Something like that. That's great. You wanna be sure and respond to that, okay? Don't ignore it. Don't just be like, oh, they said no to, and write them on some no list and never communicate with them again, okay? You need to go back to them in some, appropriate amount of time, and maybe not even immediately is appropriate, but whatever, feels comfortable to you. Go back to them and say, thanks so much for your response. I'm so glad to hear back from you and totally understand that this is not for you right now. And I just want to say, perhaps I'll touch base with you in a few months to see if your situation has changed or see if your health needs have changed in any way. I'll follow up with you in 3 to 4 months, 6 months, whatever seems to make sense to you. You can also say something like this. Thanks so much for responding. I love it when I hear back from people because I sometimes don't. So thank you. And just wanted to say, if you know of a friend or family member who could benefit from anything that I share or ever post on my Facebook page, I would really love it if you'd refer to them. Just really love what the products are doing for me and my family, and I love helping other people. And I would certainly thank you and be forever grateful for any referrals you could send my way. Okay, so don't be afraid to, one, ask them for a referral, and or tell them, hey, I get that, thanks for responding. I may check back with you in, 4 months or so, just to see if anything's changed in your world. Okay? And most people are not going to come back to you and say no. I mean, I have had certainly a few people come back and say, this is not ever going to be for me, and I don't want it to affect our friendship. And, and I just go back to them and say, great, thank you so much for letting me know. I will definitely put you on my do not contact list, and I greatly appreciate you being honest with me. No problem. Of course, it's not going to affect our friendship, and you know where to find me if you ever change your mind. Okay, so just be there with that. All right, now no responses. Oh my goodness, this is the crickets. We all have those times when we put the messages out there, especially. I have so much of this, you guys, because I have lots of cold prospects, lots of people I'm contacting that I haven't contacted in a long time, things like that. Really cold prospecting sometimes, and literally the sound of the crickets can be overwhelming. I get that. But you don't want to stop contacting these people. And believe me, there are people that I have been contacting because they're close friends for all of my 3 years. Who just do not respond. And I will drop messages, personal messages to them that are, not Plexus related and all that as well. Some of them respond to those, some of them don't. But you want to continue reaching out to those people. And here's what I want you to keep in mind when you are reaching out to the people who are just simply not responding. And that is to consider your reach outs to them to be nothing more than education, okay? Well, maybe twofold, but most importantly, education. We, as Plexus ambassadors and Plexus product users, know what these products can do. We have the health and the science to back it up. We have a lot of other stuff from Plexus Corporate, their Facebook page. They share articles, guys, sometimes on their corporate Facebook page that are just general health. Those kind of things are excellent to share with other people. And literally just drop it in a message and say, hey, saw this and thought of you, thought you might find it interesting. Don't say anything else. Don't ask them to respond. Don't necessarily ask them what you think. Just drop them an educational video or a link to an educational article. Our shareables in our back office are really good for this, because what I think the longest one is like 3 minutes, maybe at the most, but most of them are like 30 seconds to a minute, minute and a half, and just say, hey, wanted to share this with you because I found it interesting and thought you might too. All right, consider your reach outs to the Cricut people to be education. Okay, you are just educating them about what you know and what you've learned and what the products can do. I said a minute ago, it could be twofold. I also want you to go ahead and reach out to those people if you're comfortable with it and close enough to them to let them know about any specials that are going on, free shipping, specials that are being run through corporate, things like that. Feel free to go ahead and contact them on those as well. But you definitely want to reach out to people who have shown even the slightest bit of interest when it comes to specials. Be sure those people are on your hit list, okay? Okay, the other thing, and this is going to get kind of bold. Let's see how much time I have left. If you have people that are just not responding, you've been reaching out to them for a long time, and you're at a point where you want to be productive with your time and your reach outs. Perhaps this is a person you don't see on a regular basis, long distance friend, from a long time ago, someone you're not going to necessarily, have, close, frequent interaction with. And you've just decided, hey, it's just time to cut bait on this one, coming from my my hunting and fishing background. Time to cut bait and just drop this one. If you are ready to take that step, I don't want you to just do it without giving them some idea that that's what you're doing, because there are people who will reach for that dangling carrot at the last moment. They will reach for that bait that is being drawn away. So what I want you to do is to contact them with a couple of different methods, whatever you're comfortable with. Come up with your own, but a couple of them that I use is if I'm really getting no response, I will say, perhaps to those that are closer to me and that I will see on a regular basis, I will sometimes use a message that says, hey, I was thinking of adding you to this Facebook group that I've just started that I have, that is just kind of some ongoing information, Plexus information, and perhaps a bit more detail, and thought you might, there might be something that would grab your attention. I'm going to be adding those people to that group by the end of this week. Does that sound okay to you? Does that work for you? Something like that. So I'm not really making it sound like I'm adding them without their permission, but I'm also kind of hinting that I might, there's that, I'm putting that question in their head. Is she really going to add me? Do I really need to tell her no if I don't want her to? And you will sometimes get a response off that. You will get a response. Sometimes it is like, hey, no, I know you've been sending me the stuff and I'm just really not interested. That's fine. Sometimes you just want an answer. So if you're ready for that, you can take a bolder step like that. All right. Plus, the people that are kind of dragging, maybe you're getting responses from them. They're dragging you along. They're making this sharing sales process much longer than it should be. They're just not stepping up to the plate and placing the order. If you are ready, because you need your productive time to be truly productive, if you're ready to push them, then you can contact them and say, hey, you know what? We've been talking about this a while. I've given you lots of information. You know how I feel about this. I know that you want to take care of your health, but it just seems like this isn't right for you right now. I'll contact you, and if you want to, you can say, I'll contact you in a few months, or you can just leave it at that. It just really sounds like this isn't for you right now, and just leave it at that. Again, some people are going to reach for that dangling carrot bait that is being snagged away from them at the last minute and just realize, you know what, hey, I am interested. I've been busy. I just haven't gotten back in contact with you, and I'm so sorry, and you're right. I need to take the step. And yeah, okay. Some of them are going to be continued crickets, or some of them are going to say, yeah, you're right. It's just not the right time. And then you can say, all right, I'll contact you in about 4 months or so and see if things have changed. and just put them on your calendar for them, okay? But you have to be comfortable with the possible no that could come out of that, all right? Now, every time, let's see, every time you're reaching out to these people that are giving you crickets and stuff, just make sure the information you're sharing with them is new information. It's a new offer, a new deal, a new product, or just try to keep track of what types of, which links, shareables, articles, and things like that you're sending to them. I love to rely on Facebook Messenger for this because you can scroll up and see what information you have sent to them, and then have an idea of whether or not you're being repetitive. Just make sure that when you're reaching out, it is new info. Okay, guys, I think that is it, and we're almost out of time as well. So I hope like I said, I've given you some little tidbits of information. Like I said, be really comfortable with that feel, felt, found. If you don't use those exact words, just find a way to communicate it. I don't always say feel, felt, found. I just say, hey, I know how, I get it. I understand. I was in the same position, you know, and I felt, you know, that I just needed to make a change. I get, you know, I mean, you know how to do it. Feel, felt, found. Use it often enough in both your verbal and written communication that it's something that becomes natural, okay? And put your blinders on, all right? Know that the no's and O's that come to us are going to be there. They are going to keep coming. There are going to be people who are never going to try Plexus, and we are going to be okay with that, just like there are people who never order coffee or dessert at a restaurant, and the waiters and waitresses are okay with that. All right, we just got to be okay with the no. We got to be steadfast on our goals, and that goal may just be helping as many people as we can, even knowing some of them closest to us are not going to say yes. Just be focused, steadfast, hard and heavy on your goals. Keep working at it, and just do not let the no's get you down, okay? Because every no gets you that much closer to your next yes. Guys, I hope this is helpful, like I said, and contact me with any questions. And I just hope you have a great week and a great time sharing Plexus with as many people as you can. Take care, and we will talk to you again soon. Go team!